In this video, we are going to understand Rolle's theorem and Lagrange's mean value theorem. These two theorems are very interesting applications of derivatives. And before I start these topics, I would like to revise some basic concepts which are required for better understanding of these two theorems. These topics are slope of a line, continuity and differentiability, tangent to a curve at a given point, and intervals. Here I will take these topics in short only, and if you want to understand these topics in details, you can watch my videos which I have already made on these topics especially. The appropriate links have been given in the description box of this video. To understand the meaning of a slope, see this figure. This line is making angle theta from positive direction of x-axis, and this angle has been measured in the anti-clockwise direction. Then the value of tan theta is called slope of this line. It is denoted by m. So m is equal to tan theta. So the value of tan theta is called the slope of a line, where theta is the angle of that line measured from positive direction of x-axis and in anti-clockwise direction. We must remember some points regarding the slope. These points are: suppose a line makes acute angle from positive direction of x-axis, then its slope will be positive. On the other hand, if a line makes obtuse angle from the positive direction of x-axis, then its slope will be negative. If line is parallel to x-axis like this, then obviously its angle from the positive direction of x-axis is 0 degree. Since this line is parallel to x-axis, so its angle from positive direction of x-axis is 0. So value of slope will also become tan 0. It means 0. And if the line is parallel to y-axis, in that case, slope of the line will be not defined. Alright, so these are the 4 facts about the slope of a line. Now I will tell you one more thing. Suppose I have two lines which are parallel to each other. I am having two lines here which are parallel to each other. If this line makes angle theta from positive direction of x-axis, then this line will also make the same angle theta from positive direction of x-axis. Why? Because these are parallel and it is transversal, so both of these angles are equal by corresponding angles axiom. And since these angles are equal, that's why their tan, ta and tan will also be equal. Its tan theta and its tan theta will also be equal. And tan theta means the slope of a line, so its slope and its slope will also be equal. So consequently the result is that if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are equal. Now we will derive one important formula here regarding slope. Suppose it is a line on which I am having 2 points x1 y1 and x2 y2, and I want to know that what is the slope of this line. Let us consider that this angle is theta. If I draw perpendicular from this point to the x-axis and also a perpendicular from this point to x-axis, and it is origin here, its coordinates are x1 y1, so this distance will be x1 and this distance will be y1. Similarly, coordinates of these points are x2 y2, so this much distance is x2 and this much distance is y2. From here till here it is x1 and from here till here it is x2. So how much this gap is left? this gap is left x2 minus x1, and in the same way this gap is also left. If I draw perpendicular from this point on this line, then it is x2 minus x1, so it is also x2 minus x1, and this gap will come y2 minus y1, because this whole height is y2 and this much height is y1, so it will left y2 minus y1. Now theta is the angle of this line from positive direction of x-axis, and if this angle is theta, then this angle will also be theta, because this horizontal segment is parallel to x-axis. So if it is parallel to this and this line is transversal, so these two angles will be equal by corresponding angles axiom, and if these two angles are equal, then if it is theta, so it will also be theta. Now in this triangle, if we apply the identity that tan theta is equal to perpendicular upon base, then tan theta will become y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So for this triangle, the value of tan theta is y2 minus y1 upon x2 x minus x1. So for this whole triangle also, tan theta will be same y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1, and tan theta is called the slope of a line. So a slope of this line will become m equal to y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So this formula we have to remember. What does this formula tells us? This formula tells us that if 2 points are there on a line, then a slope of that line will be equal to y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Let me repeat one more thing here, that we are not studying the topic of slope here completely. We are just taking few points from the topic of slope, and these points will be helpful for us to understand the topic of Rolle's theorem and Lagrange's mean value theorem. If you want to understand the topic of slope in details, you will have to watch my video that I have made on the topic of slope. Now students, we will understand the meaning of continuity and differentiability. To understand continuity, let us consider one example. In this example, I have drawn a graph for some general function y is equal to fx. And in this graph, I have developed a small pinpoint gap at x equal to 5. Then as you can see that this graph is broken at this point, which is at x equal to 5. So I can say that at x equal to 5, this function is discontinuous. DIS, discontinuous. And if I check other points like this point, this point, this point, so at other points it is not broken, so at other points it is continuous. So what is the meaning of continuity? The continuity simply means if the function is continuous, if the function is not broken at a point, we will say that function is continuous there. And if there is a gap or hole or function or graph is broken at that point, then we will say that at that point function is discontinuous. Secondly, if we talk about differentiability, then it's also very simple. Suppose I am drawing this curve for some function y is equal to fx. If I ask you that to draw a touching line in mathematics is called tangent. If I say you that draw a tangent at this point, then it's very easy. You can draw the tangent like this. Tangent means a line which touches the curve at a single point. Alright, if it is intersecting the line at 2 points, then we call it secant. So here this line is tangent to this curve at this point. Okay, it means I am able to draw tangent to the curve at this point. If I say you that don't draw tangent here, then you will also be able to draw tangent at this point. If I say you draw tangent here, then you can also draw tangent here. So it means you are able to draw the tangents at these points of the curve. It means function is differentiable at these points. So wherever we can draw a tangent, wherever we can draw a unique tangent to the curve at a point, then at that point function is called differentiable. Let us see opposite example now. Suppose I am having a curve and here graph is broken. It means function is not continuous here. So if I say you that at x equal to 5 draw tangent, then as you can see at x equal to 5 curve itself is not present, graph is itself not present. So it means it is not possible for anyone to draw the tangent to the curve at this point. Right? We cannot draw tangent to the curve at this point. It means function will not be differentiable at x equal to 5. If function is not continuous, then function can never be differentiable. Remember, if function is not continuous, then function can never be differentiable. Secondly, let us take one more example. Suppose it is a graph of some modulus function and here it is x equal to 7. Let us consider here x equal to 7. So at this point, what will happen if I say you that draw tangent at this point? Then what problem you will face? That if you draw in tangent like this, then many tangents are possible here. You can draw tangents at many angles for this particular point. It means unique tangent is not possible here. For differentiability, it is compulsory that unique tangent must be present there. If you are able to draw a large number of tangents at a particular point, it means you are not drawing unique tangent. So function will be differentiable at a point of curve only when you are able to draw one and only one tangent at that point. So in this situation, and there was gap in the graph, we were not able to draw even a single tangent, so the function was not differentiable here. And at this point, we are not able to draw unique tangent or fixed tangent or permanent tangent. That's why function is also not differentiable at x equal to 7 for this function. See one more example. Suppose it is curve and this point is say 5, 10. The coordinates of these points are 5, 10. Let us assume. And if I draw tangent here, equation of this curve is y is equal to fx. Then you have to remember a point that what is the slope of this tangent. The slope of this tangent will be f dash x. The slope of the tangent is denoted by f dash x, and in that f dash x you will have to put the point 5, 10. Cut it, edit it. Suppose now let us consider one more example. Suppose it is a curve, and in this curve, it is a point on the graph. Equation of the curve is y is equal to fx. And here I am drawing a tangent to the curve. Then slope of the tangent will be f dash x. If the coordinates of these points are x, y, then the slope of the tangent will be f dash x. Or you can say that slope of the tangent is denoted by f dash x. What is f dash x? F dash x is the differential coefficient of fx or derivative of fx. You have studied the topic of derivatives. So derivative of fx is denoted by f dash x. And if I do the derivative of fx, then I will get the slope of the tangent. Alright, this tangent will be at point xy. And if you want to get the tangent at some specific point like 5, 2, then what will you have to do? First of all, you will find out the value of f dash x, and in that f dash x, you will replace x by 5 and y by 2. So this was the short revision of the topic continuity and differentiability. Topic, intervals. Intervals for real numbers. Basically, there are two types of intervals. One is called open interval and other is called closed interval. The format of open interval is open interval AB, or this is the another symbol of open interval, and closed interval AB, its symbol is this. So open interval AB can either be denoted by this format or by this format, but closed interval AB is denoted by this format. Here what A and B are? Here A is less than B and A comma B belongs to real numbers. It means in all these formats A and B are two real numbers according to the condition that A is less than B. So whenever you make any interval, you have to remember that first number must be smaller than the second number, and you have to remember this thing also, that both of A and B must be real numbers. Now let us consider some examples. Suppose I give you open interval 2, 5. This is open interval 2, 5, or you can write it like this also. Then what is the meaning of this? Actually, it is the set of all those real numbers which are greater than 2 and less than 5. When I write or when I say open interval 2, 5, it means I am considering the set of all the real numbers which are greater than 2 but less than 5. How many elements are present in this set, if I ask you? In this set, how many elements are present? In this set, actually infinite number of elements are present. Why? Because between 2 and 5, suppose I show you the real number line, 0 is here, 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here, 4 is here, 5 is here. Then my question is that between 2 and 5, how many real numbers are present? Between 2 and 5, there are infinite number of real numbers are present. 3 and 4 are just two integers or two natural numbers. But if you take the numbers in decimals also, then there will be no end for them. They will go on. If you are taking the numbers in decimals, then there will be no limit of writing the numbers. So between 2 and 5, there are infinite number of real numbers. That's why this interval is also an example of infinite set. In fact, every interval is an infinite set. Now let us do some changes in this. Suppose I make my interval like this. So now it has become closed interval. Now what is the difference between open interval and closed interval? When I write closed interval, then here I will make equal signs also. What is the meaning of this? It means I am taking all the real numbers which are greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to 5. Alright. So in closed interval we are also including 2 and 5. Whereas in the case of open interval, I excluded 2 and 5. So when we write open interval, then boundary elements are excluded. But when we say closed interval, then boundary elements are always included. So closed interval 2, 5 is the set of those real numbers which are greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to 5. Let us understand the difference between open interval and closed interval on the number line again. Suppose it is a number line, infinite, minus infinite, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and minus 5. Suppose I take 2 here and 5 here and I dark this segment of real number line. I have darkened this much segment by bold or by dark, but I have not filled these circles. I have kept these two circles blank. So what type of interval this diagram is representing? This is representing open interval 2, 5. Why? Because I am not including 2 and 5. I am just taking the real numbers between 2 and 5. That's why it is open interval 2, 5. And if I fill the circles, in that case I want to say that I am including 2 and 5. So now this will represent closed interval 2 and 5. Last example for intervals. Suppose I give you this example. Then what is the meaning of this? On the left side I have used round bracket, which is the symbol of open interval, and on the right side I have used closed interval. So what is the meaning of this? It means that it is the set of all real numbers which are greater than 2 but less than or equal to 5. In these I am excluding 2 but I am including 5. So this was a short revision for intervals. Now students, we are coming to our main topic, which is Rolle's theorem. Alright, so what is the definition of Rolle's theorem, or what Rolle's status? Let us see that. If y is equal to fx is a function defined in closed interval ab under the three conditions that: number 1, function is continuous in closed interval ab; number 2, function is differentiable in open interval ab; and number 3, fa equal to fb. Then in open interval ab there will exist at least one value of c so that f dash c is equal to 0. Now I will explain this theorem with the help of geometrically, and we call it geometrical representation of Rolle's theorem. Now see this. Suppose it is the graph of some function y is equal to fx. Is that clear? It is the graph of some function y is equal to fx. Suppose here at this point, if I draw a perpendicular line on the x-axis, the value of x is a here, and at the same level, draw perpendicular line, and here x is equal to b. Now students, if you see that what is happening with the graph of function between this point and this point, then you will find that graph of the function is not broken anywhere. There is no hole, no gap, or no broken part in the graph of the function between this point and this point. So I can say that function is continuous in closed interval AB, and this is the first point of Rolle's theorem. Alright, that function must be continuous in closed interval AB. So which means that function, the graph of function must not be broken anywhere between this point and this point. Now secondly, if you see that the graph of the function is smooth from this point to this point, and there is no spike or gap, right? There is no spike or there is no gap in the graph of this function. It means if I want to draw the tangent at any point from here till here, then I can draw the tangent easily. In short, I can say that between this point and this point, I can draw unique tangent at every point of the curve between this point and this point. It means the function is differentiable in open interval AB, and which is the second condition of Rolle's theorem. Is that clear? What was the first condition? That function must be continuous in the closed interval AB. And what was the second condition? That function must be differentiable in open interval AB. It means in closed interval AB, there should be no gap in the graph of the function, and in the open interval AB, tangent must be possible at every point of the curve. Now, third point was, students, you must know that if this point is A, then this height is known as FA. This part is known as FA. Alright. If y is equal to fx is our function, and in place of x I put a, then y the value of y will become fa. It means for this point the value of y is fa. It means this much height is fa, and in the same way this much height is fv. You must remember that I took this point and this point on the same level. It means fa is equal to fb. So our third condition of Rayleigh has been satisfied, that fa equal to fb. So I have made a diagram here in which all the three conditions of Rayleigh are satisfied. Now let us see. You see my marker. If I put my marker here, then this marker is working as a tangent. Alright, this marker is working as a tangent for this curve. Let us use some another pencil. You see this red pen. This red pen is working as a tangent to this curve at this point. Now if I move to another point here, then this pencil has become the tangent for the different point. And in the same way, if I slide my pencil on this curve like this, then I can find out tangents to each and every point of the curve between this point and this point. Now, very interesting thing, in this portion you will definitely find at least one point where this tangent will become parallel to x-axis. Let us put my pencil in that situation. If I put my pencil in this situation, then what is happening? In this situation, this pencil is becoming parallel to x-axis. Alright? So this is the situation when the tangent is becoming parallel to x-axis. Now let us draw. Suppose it is the tangent in the parallel situation. This tangent is parallel to the x-axis. And do you remember I told you that slope of the tangent is denoted by f dash x? Alright, so this slope of this tangent is f dash x, and it is 0. Why? I also told you that when a line is parallel to x-axis, then its slope is 0. So if this tangent is parallel to x-axis, then what will happen? Its slope will become 0. So f dash x equal to 0. Now let us consider that this point of contact is actually at x equal to c. So slope of the tangent will be denoted by f dash c. And what was the conclusion of Rayleigh's theorem? That you will get at least one value of c where f dash c becomes 0. So at this point f dash c has become 0. Why am I writing c inside f dash? Because f dash x is the slope of tangent at every point, at general point. And when I talk about the slope of tangent at x equal to c, then I will represent it by f dash c. Okay, so here I am writing f dash c. F dash c means slope of the tangent at x equal to c. Is that clear? And why I am putting it 0? Because this tangent is parallel to x-axis, and whenever any line is parallel to x-axis, its slope is 0. So f dash c equal to 0. So by this we come to the geometrical interpretation of the Rayleigh's theorem, because in the end of Rayleigh's theorem what was stated? That in the open interval AB there exists at least one value of c for which f dash c equal to 0. So according to this figure, I have obtained this value of c where f dash c is becoming 0. So this was the geometrical interpretation of Rayleigh's theorem. I hope that you have understood it. Now Students, we are coming to last topic of this video, which is Lagrange's mean value theorem. This theorem is also known as MVT in short form. We call it MVT or mean value theorem. All right. So first of all, let us see its definition. Its definition is, if y is equal to fx is a function defined in the closed interval AB such that first point, function is continuous in closed interval AB. Second part, function is differentiable in open interval AB. Then in open interval AB, there exists at least one value of C for which f dash C equal to fb minus fa upon b minus a. Alright. Now, if you compare Rolle's theorem and Lagrange's mean value theorem, then both of the theorems are approximately same. But there is only one difference. In Rolle's theorem, there was third point that fa equal to fb. You must be remembering that in Rolle's theorem, there were 3 points, first, second, third, and what was the third point? Fa equal to fb. But in Lagrange's mean value theorem, this third part is not applicable. It means while studying the topic of Lagrange's mean value theorem, you have not to bother about the values of fa and fb, whether they are equal or they are different. They may be equal also, they may be different also. You have not to worry about the values of fa and fb. But in Rolle's theorem, when you study Rolle's theorem, then values of fa and fb must be equal. And in Lagrange, there is no boundation on the values of fa and fb. They may be equal also, they may be unequal also. Alright, so we have seen that what is the definition of Lagrange's mean value theorem. Now I will tell you the geometrical interpretation of mean value theorem. Let us draw Cartesian plane, x-axis, y-axis. And suppose it is the graph of some function whose equation I am taking y is equal to fx. Is that clear? On this graph, I am taking a point P here and another point Q here. If I join the points P and Q, then I can say that it is the chord, CHORD chord of this curve. Let us draw perpendicular from P to the x-axis and similarly perpendicular from Q to the x-axis. Let x is equal to a here and let x is equal to b here. As I told you in the topic of Rolle's theorem, if it is x equal to a here, then this height will be fa and this height will be fb. This much distance from origin to this, it is a, and from here till here it is fa. So I can say that coordinates of these points are a, fa. And in the same way, the coordinates of the point Q will be b, fb. Now students, I want to know one thing from you. Can you tell me that what will be the slope of PQ? I told you this concept today in this video, that if a line passes through 2 points x1, y1 and x2, y2, then what is the slope of this line? Yes, the slope of this line is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. This formula I proved also today in this video. Okay, so it is just like x1, y1 and it is x2, y2. So now tell me what is the slope of this PQ? Tell, the slope of this line is fb minus fa upon b minus a. Again, fb minus fa, fb minus fa upon b minus a. It is the slope of chord. Slope of chord PQ. Is that clear? Okay. Now let us come to mean value theorem. You see that in this diagram, my function is continuous from P to Q. Why? Because between P and Q, there is no gap or no hole in the graph of the function. Alright, it means I can say that my function is continuous in the closed interval a to b. And since between P and Q, I can draw unique tangent at every point of the curve. It means the function is differentiable at every point of the curve in the open interval AB. So actually, what are these? These are the first two conditions of Lagrange's mean value theorem. In the first condition, I told you that function must be continuous in closed interval AB. In second condition, I told you that function must be differentiable in open interval AB. So this function is continuous also and differentiable also. Continuous in closed interval AB and differentiable in open interval AB. So first two conditions of Lagrange's mean value theorem satisfied. And I will not bother about the values of FA and FB. They may be equal also, they may be unequal also. I will not say anything about them. But when I teach you Rolle's theorem, then I will say that FA and FE must be equal. So here in this diagram, purposely I have drawn FA and FB of unequal values. FA is smaller, you can see, and FB is more higher than FA. Now again, suppose this pencil is working as a tangent. So you see, if I draw a tangent here, then this tangent is not parallel to the chord. You see the chord PQ. So this tangent is not parallel to the chord. If I come back little back, it is also not parallel to the chord. And at this point, when I come to this point, tangent to the curve becomes parallel to the chord. And again, if I move back in the back side direction, the tangent will also not parallel to the chord. So in this portion, there is at least one point at which tangent is parallel to the chord. All right. The slope of tangent is denoted by f dash x in general. But if I take a particular value of this point, suppose at this point value of x is c. Value of x is c at this point, then the slope of tangent at this point will be denoted by f dash c. Now, slope of the tangent is f dash c and slope of this chord is fb minus fa upon b minus a, as I told you earlier. And since this tangent is parallel to the chord, and I told you today that when two lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. So slope of this tangent will be equal to slope of this chord. And slope of tangent is f dash c and slope of chord is this much. So by this we come to the conclusion of Lagrange's mean value theorem. Alright, in the Lagrange's mean value theorem, what was written at the end of the theorem? That there exists at least one value of c where f dash c is equal to 0. F dash c is equal to fb minus fa upon b minus a. So I have obtained that result with the help of geometrical interpretation. Okay, so now students, I hope that you have understood Rolle's theorems and Lagrange's mean value theorem.